Time now for a creator spotlight. Somebody who loves the game like no one's business, and that's week it is Finn McConnell, the TheFinnFTW. That's right, the Finn for the win. Live commentary and gameplay of a variety of sports video games such as MLB The Show, Madden, and many more. And his favorite Major League Baseball moment, it's a great one, celebrating the late, great Roy Halladay. We'll talk to all that more as you bring in Finn for the win right now. Let's start there. Finn, how'd you come up with that, Finn for the win?
It's probably something I came up when I was about, I'd say, let's see, 15, I think, and pretty default name, but it rhymed, so I decided to stick with it. Why not?
Well, no, I think it's key. Like when you're using any sort of acronyms, like FTW, you have to figure out what it is. Like if you're going WTF, that's a different conversation. So I think you're fortunate that the way that we've leaned in these acronyms and such, FTW, everyone's well aware of what that means.
Exactly. There are some people that still have no idea what it means, but I'm happy to answer it because luckily it is an appropriate acronym.
No question about it. Let's dive into your fandom for the Phillies and that specific moment you love. Roy Halladay, being from Toronto, I love watching Halladay for so many years at the Blue Jays. Then he goes to the Phillies and continues to dominate. It felt like it was almost a different audience that got to appreciate how great Doc was. That game in 2010, particularly a no-hitter. You got to meet him after the game. Tell me all about that experience.
Oh, it was such a surreal game for sure, and we actually were sitting in right field 200 level, you know, right above the signs out there. And I remember what was crazy the most is I actually had a fall ball game that day, and luckily it got canceled, so we got to stick around and see that moment. But the best moment of the game for sure was that swinging bunt right there from Brandon Phillips. I mean, you could have heard a pin drop during that at-bat when that ball was put in play. It was absolutely surreal, and then the whole place just erupted when the final out call was made. But I got to meet him after the game. We actually, back when I was in middle school, my dad and I used to stay after and try and get autographs after the game, and I was lucky enough to get to meet him and get him to sign a warm-up ball he actually tossed me in the bullpen before heading out there. And we actually ended up staying there probably, I think we got home around 1 a.m. that night.
Amazing story. I mean, listen, Doc, an intense guy, but clearly a great player, and I'm glad you got to have that moment with him. Take me back. When did you first become such a diehard Phillies fan?
I went to my first game in 2006. I can't quite remember who the team was that they took on, but I remember that's when I was never really a sports guy up until I went to my first baseball game, and then I fell in love with the game, started liking hockey and football, but to me, nothing's going to top baseball for sure, and I've been going to baseball games ever since.
What was it about the game that you think entranced you so much?
I don't know. It's completely different apart from every other, you know, sport out there. At least, you know, the big four just seems to be going back and forth, but baseball is just such a different ball game, and I in my opinion, takes a lot more skill, and there's, you know, so many more skills that you need to have to play the game. It's not just about shooting a puck or being able to stop a puck or throw a ball and catch a ball. You have to be able to hit. You have to be able to catch. You have to be able to throw, pitch, depending on, you know, what your positions are. It's just so much more of a multi-tool game.
That's well said. MLB Now, one of our shows here at the network, is the show for the thinking fan. Baseball is that sport for the thinking fan. The Phillies this season, what have your impressions of this team so far?
Inconsistent, to put it into one term for sure. But that whole division, it's actually funny because they should start calling it what they were calling the NFC East last year for football, the NL East, because it was supposed to be the most hyped division this year, and it's been kind of disappointing. So I really don't know who's going to end up on top. I really think it's a toss-up for, I don't know so much about the Marlins, but I think all 5 teams could possibly get it. It's still very early in the season, but definitely a toss-up.
Well, your perception is accurate because I felt the same way. This will be a very competitive division. Instead, it's been a lot of mediocrity, although that seems to be league-wide, especially when it comes to hitters struggling at the plate. What do you make of the fact batters are hitting like 230 this season?
Yeah, it's weird, but another odd thing about you mentioning batting averages, I feel like it's actually becoming a pretty obsolete stat. A lot of people are talking OPS right now, which I'm old school. I'm not a big fan of that. I still judge a batter way more based on his batting average than his OPS. So I'm more of an old school guy. But yeah, I definitely don't like seeing guys hitting lower, especially if they're not putting up a lot of balls over the fence.
Yeah, I'm with you. When a guy's hitting 235 right now, you can say, well, that's above average. That just doesn't feel right. Let's get to your YouTube
Yeah, you
page.
better be hitting at least 40 dingers.
Yeah, exactly. Like Pete and Cavilla back in the day. Let's get to your YouTube page. Obviously, you're a guy who cares a lot about being active with social media, being young people, etc. What was all the effort that you put into putting together your YouTube page?
Well, I probably started my channel back when I was, let's see, yeah, like 15, 16. I think I started making it. I made pretty amateur videos with like cheap, recording software I had. And then I really got serious with it probably towards the end of 2015. I started doing NHL and it went really well. Then I started doing MLB, and that's probably been my far to record for sure. But I've started doing daily uploads every day, streaming almost every day, and I have a lot of fun with it. No complaints at all.
Yeah, last one I've noticed with MLB The Show, you like to create your own character. Dorsal Finn is your guy. Who is your favorite player that you like to model your game after?
I really just like to do my own thing. There's not really anyone I try to be like. I kind of just try to be the best at that position or best in the league, pretty much. I don't try, like this year I'm doing a two-way player, so that's a newer feature in the game. So I try to just be the best pitcher and the best hitter out of everyone in the league.
Finn for the win. Last one. Anyone call you Huck? Is there anybody old enough that thinks Huckleberry Finn when they see your name?
I probably get everything other than Finn. And not too many people call me Finn. I get Finnegan, Dorsal, I get Finley. Pretty much everyone calls me anything other than Finn.
We talk again, I'm calling you Huck. Finn for the win. Great stuff, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.